Hey everybody, Tim here with today's episode of Stranger Things, the Season 1 finale, Season 1, Episode 8, The Upside Down. This is it. This is like what it's all been building up to from the very first episode, the vanishing of Will Byers, to this episode, spoiler alert, the return of Will Byers. So from the very beginning, it's such a great opening where we basically see like Joyce and Hopper arrested, or at least what it looks like they're arrested. And I won't lie, at the very beginning, I was confused. I was like, wait, what happened? Like the last episode, everything was great. Like they're at the tank and everything. What's going on? And then in this one, they're arrested. So presumably they decided to take things in their own hands and go to the plant and say like, let us in. And they arrested them, or they like citizen's arrest or whatever. And we see Joyce talking to Papa, Matthew Modine, and basically questioning them, like, what do you know exactly? And even Hopper's like, I know everything. Like, I know about the hole in the wall. I know about like kidnapping a little girl, like brain killing her mother, like everything. And they just like keep tasing Hopper. It's kind of sad. Meanwhile, it's kind of funny, we see the kids still in like the school gym, and they're like, well, where did Nancy and Jonathan go? Nancy and Jonathan have decided to fight the Demogorgon on their own. They're basically like the defense, and Hopper and Joyce are the offense. I don't know sports, but that sounds right to me. So basically what we got is Nancy and Jonathan, and then Steve shows up in a great scene with a fight at the Byers' house, getting ready to fight the Demogorgon, and Hopper and Joyce go through the portal and are now in the Upside Down looking for Will. So like I said, it's basically an attack on both sides. Like I said, I love the whole where seeing Nancy and Jonathan like get together and get ready to fight, like making this friendship. And like them cutting their hand open, and then Steve just shows up out of nowhere, and he's like, let me in, and he's like, what's going on with all the lights? And then the lights start flickering, and then the Demogorgon pops out of the ceiling. It's so intense, because I don't fully understand that. So if you guys know, let me know, because he's come through the wall and all sorts of stuff, but like how, I don't know if they've explained like how he or it decides to come through, like what made it come through the ceiling. Like there has to be some sort of strong force or something for him to do that, but they don't really say. It's great storytelling, or it's great visual storytelling, but the plot doesn't fully make sense to me. Meanwhile, Joyce and Hopper are going through the Upside Down, and they're finding all sorts of things. It almost looked like there's an alien egg at one point. Presumably that was like a Demogorgon egg. But that was kind of great. And all during this, Hopper keeps getting flashbacks of his daughter Sarah dying of cancer, which again, like it was interesting storytelling visually, but like if you took all of those scenes out of this episode, I don't think it would have changed anything. Like it didn't really add anything to his character because we already know that she died of cancer and that his ex-wife has moved on. So like it didn't really do anything for me personally. Like stuff like that should have stayed on to like the next season, or have been scattered throughout the entire season, not just this episode. I loved where they finally, like Steve leaves because he's like, fuck this, like I don't know what's going on. So he leaves and then starts seeing the lights flashing again. So he's like, oh, this creature's about to come back. So he goes back inside right as the Demogorgon's like attacking Nancy and Jonathan, and just beats the shit out of it with the bat with the nails, knocks it into a bear trap, and then they light it on fire. Like, holy shit, it's a great scene. It's really intense to watch this Demogorgon just being attacked and just beaten to death. But sure enough, after like the flames go out, it's gone. Like its foot kind of is still sizzling in the bear trap, but it's just gone. So once again, like it magically just goes back to its own dimension. In the meantime, Joyce and Hopper are now in the Upside Down, but they're at the Byers mansion, and it's kind of a unique like connection because as they're walking through the Byers house, the lights in the real world are like lighting up, and they see the blood all over. So the Demogorgon, there's my dog, the Demogorgon like went back to its own dimension and crawled away, and then they can actually see the blood trail for it. So it's really kind of interesting. All of the agents kind of like zone in on the school where the kids are. Mike and 11 have their very first kiss. I mean, they're 12 years old, so it's really kind of a cute scene, like, oh, look at that, because neither one really knows what to do. And then the Demogorgon shows up at the school and all sorts of other stuff going on. But before that, the agents. So the agents are like attacking the kids, and Elle, who we've seen some scary stuff from her, like where she flips the van and all sorts of other stuff. And at this point, she like smashes their brains, and like all the blood starts coming out of their nose and their eyes and their ears, and just all of these agents just die. And I was like, shit. Like, this little girl, like, just from the first time we've seen her, where she's like, oh, I can make the Millennium Falcon float, to flipping a van, to killing like a dozen guards, just like that. So it was a little scary. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. So the Demogorgon shows up at the school, chases the kids. Joyce and Hopper find Will, and again, it's very alien scene. Like, it reminded me of like the scene where Ripley finds her captain and he's like against the wall. Like, it was very similar to that, and then they have to like pull what I thought was a tube out of his mouth, and then it starts moving like a worm, and Hopper's like, oh shit, and like shoots it. It's kind of a funny scene at that point. But it's scary to see all of this stuff that's happening to this poor kid. And like at the meantime, we see the Demogorgon chasing or showing up at the school, and it's kind of a fun scene, like in a sad kind of way, watching Lucas like hit it with rocks using the slingshot. But it's how do I want to say this? It's cliche, but it was really well filmed, where he finally gets the last rock and he just like hitting it all over. It didn't really matter, and he like rears back, and then like it opens up its like flower head. And then you're like, oh, he's going to hit it right in the head. And then when he lets go, it just flies back and hits the chalkboard at the end. It hits the wall. And you're like, shit, like that's all it took? And then you realize that it was actually 11 that did it. And 11 goes, and she says goodbye to Mike, and they both kind of disintegrate. Like, they just disappear. And it's very scary to kind of watch how much power this girl has. Like, it's super intense. And then from there, like, it's a really climactic moment, and it was really, really well done. And then from there, it's mostly just tie-up at that point, where we see, Hopper and Joyce giving Will, CPR, and then again, some more flashbacks that I didn't feel were necessary. Will does come back, he is revived, and then, they take him to the hospital, and everything's like, oh, he's back to normal. Which it's a kind of a sad thing. Like, I got a little choked up seeing Jonathan and Joyce and Will all together again, and then the boys show up and they're all laughing and playing again, and then Hopper's just taken away. Like, he goes outside to smoke a cigarette, and a car pulls up, and he's just escorted away. So, again, like, he had to make a deal to let them go, and this is clearly part of the deal, and it's clearly a setup for Season 2, which I don't really care for it when shows do that, to, like, kind of force you into it, but it is effective, so you are interested. The 1 month later kind of took me by surprise a little bit, and we see Nancy and Steve or Nancy and Jonathan, as Jonathan like goes to pick up Will because they're having a D&D session that lasted 10 hours again. And Will and Jonathan go home, Nancy gives them a present, and then goes and sits on the couch with Steve. So clearly Nancy and Steve have gotten back together, but Nancy and Jonathan are still friends. Even though they say men and women can't be friends, they're trying to prove them wrong. So I liked it. It was a very touching Christmas moment. Things get, like I said, so I don't particularly like it when shows are like, oh, let's really put a cliffhanger in there. But it is sometimes necessary. It's more of the 90s style. You don't so much see it too much today, at least to my knowledge. Where we see Hopper, and he's at like this Christmas dinner with all of the people, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna go, and he takes a bunch of food and puts it in a Tupperware, which is kind of funny because I grew up with that Tupperware, and he grabs some of that, and he goes to the middle of the woods, opens a box, puts the Tupperware, puts the Eggos in, and closes the box, and it's like, you know that's for Elle. So it's like, is she in the middle of the woods somewhere, living like Tarzan? Is this a doorway to another dimension? What's going on? So again, setting us up for the next season. And then finally, Will at home, Christmas dinner with Jonathan and Joyce, and he's like, oh, I'm going to go wash my hands before dinner. And Joyce is like, that's kind of weird, but cool. And he goes in there and he throws up basically what kind of looks like a leech, but it's clearly a living organism from the Upside Down. And then he has like a flash moment where like he's in the Upside Down and his bathroom looks kind of all like moldy and stuff like that. And then he comes back. And so things with Will are not quite back to normal as well. Again, we'll get some more answers in the next season, presumably. So overall, I thought this was a great season. I really liked this show. I thought it was really well done storytelling, really enjoyable, and I'm super excited to watch it with you guys. Even though I dropped all 8 of these episodes on you at one time, season 2, season 3, I'll probably release them as I go, just to kind of surprise you. I did it this way. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for subscribing. Let me know what you guys think about Stranger Things, and I will see you guys next time for the season 2 premiere, Mad Max.